Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Review.
The musical. Okay, so today we're talking about Pillars of Fate. This is designed by Zach Dixon, Austin Harrison, and Max Anderson, and is published by IV Studios.
This is kind of a lane battler game. I've seen a lot of these come up recently, and honestly, I kind of like them all. This is specifically for 2 players. It's in the Veiled Fate universe. This is Pillars of Fate, because you have those 3 pillars that you are battling in, these 3 lanes. Alright, so you are trying to gain the most amount of renown. That's your victory points in this game. But each one of these lanes has 2 different options of how you're going to gain or possibly lose renown. Alright, so there's 2 suits in the game. There are either feathers or scorpions. And based off of whether there's more scorpions played by both players or feathers played by both players, whichever one has the majority, that is the prize, good or bad, that's going to be awarded to the person who has the most power. So you're going to be contributing 2 things. A power, which raises your personal, level of whether or not you're going to win or not, that column. But then also on top of that, you have the idea of whichever one of the factions, whichever one of the suits has more symbols between both players, that's the prize that will be awarded to the person who has the most power. You're going to play 3 ages, and there's 3 lanes. So you're going to be awarded or penalized up to 9 times. There's some other little twists in there as well. There's going to be every turn one of the column, the middle column, which is going to have some kind of special rule given to it that is going to change up things, make things different as you're trying to gain this power. And again, sometimes you're going to be given negative renown for winning a column. So you really have to balance and keep track of things. Sometimes you're able to play cards face down, so that way there's a little bit of intrigue, and your opponent does not know what's going on exactly. What are you really trying to do? Did you put a whole bunch of scorpions there? Was that a big number? Was that a small number? Only you know.
I thought there was just enough variety in this game to make it unique after multiple plays. If it was just the three lanes and your cards and that was it, it'd be kind of boring. But they did have the lanes scored differently, so you can't math it out. So there's going to be enough variety where you can't just math out because you know all the cards that are coming and you know how much you need to get. You know that you've lost already before the 3rd round because you know all the cards. There's just enough variety where you can't math it out and every round matters. And then also they have this quest modifier that goes in the middle lane. So it basically interacts with the cards that you're playing there, so it changes some of the rules of the cards. Like you could play 2 cards face down or something like that, or their first card's doubled or something, something like that, where it changes what's happening in that lane. So there's just enough of a change to make it interesting without drastically changing the rules.
So also another way that it happens is there's these divine cards. At the beginning of the game, you shuffle up a stack of divine cards, give each player 3 of them. And every age, you're going to be forced to play one of these divine cards as your turn. And these are all kinds of cards that have special abilities or special modifiers to them that's going to help or hurt you. And sometimes hurting you is not a bad thing, because again, you're trying to make the other person win to send them negative renown.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how you play them and when you play them really matters. And they might give you special abilities as well as just kind of things like that. One of them that I played allowed me to have extra cards face down. So that way, when I was playing Bethany, she had no idea what I had. I showed her very little information. Another card had negative power, so that way she had no idea that I was, trying to make her win.
Yeah.
But with the opposite faction or whatever than she thought was going to happen. So there's all these different special abilities that are in these divine cards. Gives you just a little bit of a wrinkle every time you play, and every single age you have to play one of them. So you're constantly seeing new things and constantly kind of tweaking the board in new ways.
I thought it was really cool how the cards are kind of like 2 use cards. So there's the number, the strength, like Ryan said, and there's also the suit, essentially. And sometimes you want to have, you almost want to separate the card because you want this strength over here, but you also need this suit to make this be the thing that scores over here. So it's really cool how you're using these 2 for things everywhere. And then even in the lanes and the 2 suits there, you want this card would be really good over here, but it would also be really good over here. You know it's not going to be good here, but you can't place it in both the places. So I just really like with such little components that there's so many different things going on at the same time. And Ryan and I typically play really fast. This is something we've discovered about ourselves. We didn't realize that, but it's the reason why we stopped talking about how quickly we play games. But this was one of the ones where I think I was on the other end of that. Like, I played much slower than I normally do, just because I really had to think about where I wanted to put, like, this one card.
All right, so the rule book, I've seen a lot of good rule books. I've seen a lot of bad rule books. Lately, I've seen some bad ones, and it's been really frustrating. So I have to give credit where credit is due. The Pillars of Fate rulebook should have been very simple and very clear, because it's a fairly simple and very clear card game. Guess what? It was. It actually was simple and clear. By the time we cracked the shrink wrap on this game to actually playing our first cards, it was a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be. There was a good player aid that gave symbols, and there was just one page on the rulebook that told you what the quest modifiers were, the symbology on that, and so we had that laid out. But we were right in the action within a couple of minutes because the rulebook was that clear, laid out in exactly the right way. And again, it's a simple rulebook. It shouldn't. It's weird that I'm even talking about it, but just because I've seen so many frustrating ones recently.
Yeah, we just played a card game recently where it should have been like the streamlined, and it just wasn't.
So, shout out to the rulebook editors or whoever, because this was very easy to table out of the box.
Yes. So this game actually reminds me of two games that I absolutely love, like a blend of them, and that is Compile and Courtesans. So Compile is a lane action game, and then Courtesans is a game where you are playing cards where you're trying to either make something positive or negative in any scoring parameter, and I felt like it blended both of those things. And while, if I'm being completely honest, I actually preferred those two games, I did think it was cool how it blended those ideas together to create this. Not that they were taken from that, but that's what it felt like to me as a gamer. And I really liked that. I thought this was a great, really fun, straightforward game that you could play. You could play back to back. It was still a little different between plays, and so I really liked that. I liked that it was blending these two games that I liked. Like I said, full disclosure, I think I still preferred those two games, but I really liked what this did.
Yeah, this is the kind of game that we're going to be able to take on coffee dates because the table presence, very low. Small box, obviously easy to carry with us. It doesn't overstay its welcome because each turn, each age, you're only playing 9 cards.
Yeah.
And then the round ends. There's no like extra stuff. Like Compile, which we both love Compile, that can go on for a little bit longer because cards might get rid of cards, might flip cards over, or do weird stuff with them. You never know. And that's exciting and cool, and I love that about Compile. But this one, I know, each age, 9 cards per player. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's very predictable in that way from a time standpoint. It's thinky. It has some cool intrigue with the way they're trying to figure out what they played, with their face-down cards especially. The production quality was through the roof, even for a small box card game like this. I've come to expect Ivy Studios' production to be top-notch, and sure enough, this brought the thunder. Even the cards themselves, some of them, like the Divine cards, had this awesome gold foil. It was like premium. You just looked at it.
It was like divine.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, they brought that quality even to a small box card game. I really appreciated that, and I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I'm going to be packing this one on our to-go trips from here on out.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.